And we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and those three platforms, twice on Facebook on the group and on the Flipman page and YouTube. All right. And so this is show number 66. And I'll let Adria take it over from here.
Welcome, everyone. Let me move this a little closer this way. Thank you for joining us on our 66th Flippinar. As every Thursday, we're here to answer your questions in regards to wholesaling real estate. We have the lovely Miss Renikia Williams with us. She's graciously decided to co-host with us, as she does frequently, and she can answer some questions for you in regards to creating, as she likes to coin it, generational wealth. Welcome again. You ask your questions, I read them. Never mind. Renikia will answer them. And first of all, just make sure you give me a location where you are. I'm not going to waste too much time because you're probably used to coming here. So tag a friend. Let's get started. First, I would like to say hey to Steve, Serene. These are all on YouTube. Hey, Ken, So Trill. I'm looking for my usuals. Hey, go ahead and start posting your questions, guys. Let's see here. On the wholesaling group, not quite there yet. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group Wholesaling Real Estate with the Flipman, please do so. But right now, Renikia, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Yes. Thank you. Another Thursday. My name is Renikia Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of Porch and Key Financials. And my whole mission is to help simplify the financial world and begin to build generational wealth in every home using the asset class like real estate. So look forward to answering your questions today.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. I am just going to jump right into it. Guys, post your questions. Either I'm lagging or y'all aren't asking anything. Hold on. Let me see. I'm ready. Zeph and Fernando Mirando, tell me if it's any better now. You guys are there. Instagram, what's the best way to learn how to get repair costs? Good question. Asked every week. What do you think?
Ty, you have a calculator for this?
Yeah.
Instagram, what's the best way?
Go ahead.
What's the name of the calculator that help them calculates the rehab costs?
Oh.
Focus.
I thought you were give a formula or something.
The calculator.
The site, I had another one, but it's remodelingcalculator.org. Once you get there, just make sure it's going to ask you what zip code you're in. It's trying to find you a contractor, but you want to bypass all of that to get to the actual calculator. But it's pretty good at helping you figure out that information. Dealulator has an option within that particular tool. You know, if you haven't used it before, you can take advantage of the free 5-day trial, and you'll see the pricing right there on the site. After that, it's a month. You know, you can cancel anytime. It's not working out for you, but it should be if you're serious about this biz. So those are two options there to help you estimate repairs. Now, on the flip side of that, what you can also do, if you're just starting out, if you are going out to evaluate some properties, you may want to take a couple of contractors with you, make great notes, and get an idea of what doors cost to replace, flooring, roofs, central heat and air, windows, countertops as far as kitchens, bathrooms, what it costs to replace with toilets, paint, exterior, interior. Now that may vary it will vary depending on the type of neighborhood. Is a $600,000 neighborhood, same square footage of a house, that's $60,000 renovations. The square footage may be the same, but the cost of the rehab as far as materials will be more just because of the type of countertops that go in there, the flooring or whatever. But again, you could just take a contractor out with you just to get an experience. Just let them know you need someone to You don't want to let them know you're wholesaling because they know they ain't getting nothing out of the deal, but
Exactly.
you send them out that you're going to rehab the property and you need a bid, and you just make great notes on what they say. Another thing that you could possibly do as far as getting a cost on materials, if you know the square footage or just the measurements of windows, countertops, flooring, you could go to Home Depot or Lowe's, and someone there should be able to assist you also.
There you have it. Hope that answers your question. Hey, Donna, she asked, what is the cost for one-on-one coaching? Donna, what you want to do is just message Ty at flipman.net, and he will respond to you.
Yeah, just text me or call me at 205-492-3425.
All right. Josh Williams, glad to see you as well. He's from Texas. And Candy G in Nashville. Hey, applesauce. I like that name there. Okay, None Weather says, I have a question. What would you do with a seller that only wants to sign a quitclaim deed? Is there a different strategy I would go with or walk away?
I would ask why. I mean, most importantly, you can control that piece. If you want to go through an attorney or a title agency or a title company who gonna pull title, first of all, you know, depending on the deal, you always want to get title insurance. So if he's trying to quitclaim you onto a property without you insuring the title, you can almost get inherit like a whole bunch of liens and things of that nature that could be clouding the title. I mean, you are responsible to make those payments. So I would never necessarily get quitclaim. Sometimes the situation, the deal allow the quitclaim. But if you're new, I would definitely say always get a title insurance, allow a title company to quitclaim you onto that property to make sure you're getting a insurable title.
Okay. I'm stupid. Okay. So Darian Garrett wants to know, what kind of list should I go after to find my first deal, and how do I get it?
Blitz.
So
What do you mean by blitz?
List, I guess.
Well, I think what he means, like the tax delinquent list, or what do they call it? When they put notices on the properties or whatever, a condemnation list. Is that what you said that?
Maybe.
Yeah. But normally, or maybe a probate list. Just so all that's going to depend on what county you're targeting and how they aggregate or make the information available to the public. Now, generally speaking, what I like to do, and the way I teach it or whatever, just do an absentee list. And if you don't know what absentee means, you can only have one homestead residence. Any additional properties that you own are considered absentee. And the reason that investors like myself and Renika and beyond target those types of properties, we're just playing the numbers. It's more likely that they would be interested in selling a property that they don't live in versus the one they live in. Now, I've done tons of deals where people live in the property. I'm just saying if they have multiple properties, there's a higher probability that there's something going on that may make them motivated to sell cheap enough where it makes sense for you as a wholesaler or an investor just in general. Now, with absentee, I think of it as a shotgun approach because it normally will include probate. It will include out-of-town owners. It will include tired landlords. It will include tax situation. So it's gonna include all of those. I don't ever. Well, I ain't gonna say ever. I normally don't recommend just being that narrow on just just one type of potential motivated seller. I just want a motivated seller. I don't care if they, like one of the deals I did, a lady sold me a house cheap just because she divorced a man and her husband bought the house, and that was his project, and she just sold it cheap to me just because she wanted to piss him off, even because she got the house in the divorce. I don't care what the motivation is. I just want to be motivated to sell cheap. What do you think, baby girl?
I would say the same thing. Absolutely. It's no one answer. It's a hedging of multiple marketing strategies to generate as many leads as possible. no matter where it is. But I would say it's easier to focus on low-hanging fruit, like Ty was saying, which is the ones that are super motivated, which is probably the absentee owners, the homes, if you driving for dollars and you see that they're vacant, they're boarded up, someone is paying taxes on that every year. So, and maintaining that property every year. So most likely it's not producing any income, and they're paying out. So they most likely will be motivated. So when you first started off, maybe start off with the low hanging fruit in your backyard.
All right, good answers, guys. Ginger G says she found an ugly property that a neighbor said is in foreclosure. She took pics of the house and she'll be doing her research on the owner name. Her question is, it has papers under solid foundation properties. Is it worth me even looking into, is what she wants to know. So I don't know, is that what I'm thinking, does that mean that when she looked it up, it says under solid foundation properties, or is that the name of the company?
It says solid. Yeah, that sounds like the name of a company. Solid Foundation Properties.
Right.
That's right. Sounds like the name of the owner, whatever entity they have the property. As far as ownership, that's just the name of the owner. Okay. The way it sounds.
But she's still asking, when you find a foreclosure property, I guess it's under LLC, is it still worth looking into?
She means when she says foreclosed, does it mean well, it doesn't have to always be a lender for it to be a property that's been foreclosed on, because you have owner financing, by just regular people, and they still can foreclose on the property. So if they foreclose on it, they get back possession of the property. So she may have to be a little bit more clear on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if a property is in foreclosure, it's not saying it's not a deal, but it's all about the numbers. It's a numbers game. So when you come past properties that just kind of once in a situation, just understand it's a numbers game. Don't put all your eggs in that basket. Continue to go out and find other leads while you work that particular property.
Okay. Yeah, well, she said she's also driving for dollars as well. And yes, Ginger, that is most definitely worth it. Let's see here. Gladys Webb has a question, Reniki, and I actually think I saw her question in the Facebook group. She's an agent and would like to get started in the business. She wants to know, should she go inactive? And I asked that because the question in the group was another agent who said their broker told them that they would be a liability in putting wholesale under their company name. So they actually had to choose to either continue being an agent or either do wholesaling. Does that sound like anything that you've ever heard anybody get in?
Absolutely. I mean, brokers will always shy away from wholesaling. It takes away from them. They don't understand it. So most likely your broker would never be in cahoots with you doing your wholesale business. So it's all about how to structure your wholesale business, and you have to structure it outside of your broker firm. So one of the ways that that helped me as an agent was I created a business. You got to be particular about saying certain things. So I created a business, and not necessarily created a business, but I partnered with someone who had a business, and that business is what we did our wholesale business under. So that necessarily didn't go under my business. It didn't go under my name. I could still represent the business and get a commission check. So you want to partner with someone, you want to build someone of an empire, and partner with someone and put the business 100% in that person's name. So when you're doing your wholesale business, you don't necessarily have to tell your broker anything, because it's not necessarily your business, if you understand.
Okay, so it's all in, basically, it's how you structure it. Keep your hands out of it.
Exactly.
And just partner with someone else and let them do the work. You can assist them with it, but ultimately, as a real estate agent, as she stated, most brokers aren't going to go for wholesaling.
But you can still do it under your broker's name. You just have to disclose everything to them.
Disclosure is everything.
You have to disclose everything to them. So you can still do it with your license. You just got to disclose it and pay your broker their fee.
Okay. Let's see here. Instagram is actually jumping today. Let's see here. When virtual wholesaling, I'm sorry, this is from Ziggy Wayne. When virtual wholesaling houses that are not in your state and too far you to travel, is it absolutely a must to get someone to look at the property for repairs? And can I do that consistently? Don't we suggest to have boots on the ground in the area? You got to have somebody.
You got to have boots on the ground. You cannot just trust things virtually. I mean, that's how miscommunication. You're not there to look at the property, so you don't know if the repair is $50,000 or $20,000. So you have to trust your team. And you have to trust the people in that area. So I would say it's harder to wholesale in areas that you don't have those strategic partners in, but it's doable.
Okay. So doable, but not highly suggested there, Ziggy. What do you say?
Same thing. It's just going to all depend on who you have on the ground to represent you. At the end of the day, just like where you are, you're representing yourself. So you know how efficient you are, or whatever your inefficiencies are. And you know, so imagine trying to do that and you in a place where you're not or whatever. Now, some people do it and highly successful, but again, it's still going to boil down to having someone on the ground to represent you. It can be done, but I would strongly encourage you, if you're in a decent sized city or market, start there so you can understand all the pitfalls of what could possibly happen. You know, just from you actually putting deals together in your market and make some money and then expand out. That's what I would recommend you do, you know, when you're talking about houses. So, you know, but hey, you know, what do we know?
All right. Sticking with Instagram, Tyshawn has a question. Well, a statement. I don't know. Whatever. He was driving for dollars and saw a fire damaged property burned to a crisp. How could I find a deal in that? What would the procedure be? Now, we tell people don't stray away from burnouts. That's not necessarily not a deal, but you have to get them for basically nothing. Dirt cheap, right?
Right. The numbers just have to make sense. You know, if the numbers doesn't make sense, it's just not a deal. So it's all in the numbers. I mean, I don't care if it's just a piece of land. If it makes sense, if it's just a slab, if the numbers make sense, it's a deal. So work the numbers and figure out if it's a deal. You never shortage money for a deal. So if it's a great deal, there will be someone that's be willing to purchase it and flip it and make the money. So.
Okay. All about the numbers, Tyshawn. So not necessarily not a deal. And the only reason I'm reiterating her answer, guys, because y'all saying that some of you can't hear. We have this issue every week. It gets a little better towards the middle end of the show. So just bear with us. Okay, we were talking about working out some technical difficulties there. But yeah, Tyshawn, not necessarily not a deal, but you got to look at the numbers. Numbers have to make sense. Ultimately, you got to get that very, 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 very cheap for that to be a deal for you. But it's not a deal. On YouTube, let's see here. Josh Williams actually has specifically for you, Renikia, and I'm going to tie it into someone else's question. So it's two questions in one. Josh and Jen Wu. Josh wants to know, should I wait until my credit score is above 700 before I apply for a loan? And then Jen Wu wants to know, do you have transactional funding and could it be up to $230,000?
Absolutely. So to answer the second question, yes, I do. And we can go up to $1 million on transactional funding. Now, the easier way outside of that is to double close your deal. You can go around transactional funding if you just double close your property. And we have discussed double closing, and we can discuss that later. But just double close, and you don't need transactional funding. The first question was, should you wait until you have a 700 plus? Not necessarily. If you have a 680, tap into your credit. You're ready to go, because it's not necessarily if you have a 680 versus a 780. It's really about what's inside of your credit report. Have you handled $500 lines of credit, or have you handled $10,000, $20,000 lines of credit? So it's really the detail in your credit report that really determines the amount of money received.
Okay, so both of you guys have your questions there. And as always, you can reach out to Ms. Renikia. She is available across all social media platforms under her name, Renikia Williams, if you need to contact her. And of course, and we'll tell you how to get in touch with her via email if need be. Let's see here. Going to Facebook, Jonte says, I put up 200 signs a week. Wow, that's good. My phone rings like crazy, but it's not deals coming in. Help, please. So what kind of calls are you getting?
Yeah.
Curious to know, but if you're putting up that amount of signs and your phone is ringing, that's a lot of signs. But they're not deals. What should he do next, or what can he do?
What questions are you answering? Because if someone calls you a sign, it has to be someone that is trying to sell the property or buy a property. But sometimes you could, if a person calling wanted to sell their property, they could be a buyer too. They can be investors. They may know other investors. So have that conversation to see if they know anyone else that may be in the business of wanting to purchase real estate. So try to spend on that conversation when they do call you. But I would say keep going. Keep going. It's not a numbers game. I mean, it is a numbers game, but it's not saying if I put 200 out, I'm going to get a deal. Just keep going, because the consistency is where you're going to find the results.
Yeah, if you're getting calls, I'm assuming these are mostly from sellers. It may be as simple as you whatever method you're using to negotiate, or how you're going about your negotiations. It may be as simple as that. But at the end of the day, if you're getting calls and you're getting prices, I would recommend trying to pull a price out of them before you making an offer. In most of your conversations, sometimes they won't give you one. You have to make an offer, but just ask them the simple question, paying all cash and closing quickly, what's the least amount you'll accept? And regardless of what they say, you ask them, is that the best you can do? All right. And you move forward, then from there, either the numbers are going to work or they don't. And then follow up. Sometimes you can, the price that they gave you today, make a note, follow up with them maybe 60 days later, and their situation may have changed, so. But if you're getting called, or you keep doing what you're doing, you'll just accidentally fall into a deal.
Yeah,
so keep it up, Shante. Mike Sloan says, a seller is asking me for $1,000 EMD at the time of signing the PA. Should I pay it? What do you think? Is this, again, I guess we can't say it enough, if the numbers add up and if it's worth it, but should he also be second guessing who he's really dealing with?
Right. It's business. There's nowhere around this earnest money. So if you really want that property and that's the seller's requirement, you can negotiate and try to get it lower, but it's business. And you got to be confident in your contract enough to put your money on the line. And I would never give my money to a buyer or a seller. I will always use a closing attorney and an escrow account and hold my earnest money, because the last thing you want to do is try to find somebody when a deal go wrong and they got your money. So I wouldn't give my money to a person, but there's nowhere around the earnest money. If you want that contract, you have to put that earnest money up if that's their requirement. One of the things I try to do is I don't necessarily want to put any earnest money up before my due diligence in, because I don't even know if I want this property. So if I have 2-3 days due diligence, I give you my earnest money on the third day, because now I know if I want this property. Because I know after the due diligence, you can keep my earnest money if anything go wrong. So.
All right. So you have to determine, is it a deal, Mike? Is it worth the $1,000? And if, unfortunately, if we're starting out, If you don't have it, it may be a deal that you can bring another wholesaler in on, or you may just have to pass this one up.
Well,
and bring your end buyer, make your end buyer pay the earnest money. Very important piece. I don't necessarily put up earnest money because I know my end buyer is going to put up the earnest money. I just got to make sure I bring my end buyer in quick enough so it just makes sense. I have 2-day due diligence with the seller, and I have a 2-day due diligence with my end buyer. So at the same time, it should just all kind of seep in together, where you most likely not have to put up your $1,000 and make the end buyer do that.
Or were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say everything is negotiable. But if a seller is dictating, I don't really like to. The only thing they really can dictate is the price, right? And either it works or it doesn't. Once we get beyond that, I'll have some flexibility on the interest money. But as she said, you can have your buyer to put up, but that means you got to have one ready to go to do that or whatever. Sometimes that may not be the situation. So what I would do, if you don't have the money to put up and you haven't gotten to the point of the contract, what I would do is the way I would write my contract up, it still will only probably be for 30 days, but I will probably want a 10 to 14 day inspection / due diligence period. And that's when I'll put my earnest money up after. As she said 2 or 3 days, but you can extend that out to 10 or 14 days. And that's when I would put my earnest money up after that. But then that's what the contract will say. And so in that time frame, 10 to 14 days, if you can't find the buyer, then, hey, just cancel the agreement. So that would be a solution that, there's no law or anything that says when you have to put the earnest money, just a standard on how it's normally done, more so than, what you can actually do. But if they don't accept that, just like if they don't give you the price that doesn't work for you, you thank them for their time, let them know if anything changes, to give you a call back. This is what I'll put up as far as earnest money. So it can be a deal breaker, just that simple. Just like many other factors within a negotiation, it can be a deal breaker.
Hey, Donna, we are live on the Facebook group, regular Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Typically, if you're having issues with Facebook, YouTube is a great alternative. Again, always apologizing for those having sound issues. I can explain why some people do, some people don't. But yeah, YouTube typically never gives us a problem. Let's see here. Going to the next question. Let's see here. Cynthia, she doing it, Hughes, says, I have a potential deal with a squatter in the property. How do I wholesale this property, or is it worth the headache? So how do you do? You got somebody living there and they won't go.
I just had this situation happen about 2 months ago. Squatters really have rights. You gotta, they really have squatter rights. You have to evict them. So, it's kind of iffy situation, because if they know their rights, they can stay there until you go and file your paperwork and evict them. So it's an iffy situation. I would just say disclose that to the end buyer and let them know, hey, a squatter in there. We have been trying to get them out, and I'll be willing to assist you if need be to get him out. But if a squatter do have rights, so you have to somewhat evict them out of the property. So I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. I would just say disclose it to the end buyer to let them know what they're coming into.
Yeah, one of the other things that you can do, if you can communicate with the squatter, I know you. I'm willing to pay for him to leave.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, but they only get paid when the deal closes, right? And now that's going to depend on your buyer. Some buyers won't buy with a squatter in there, and then some will. They don't care, but so it's going to depend on who you lock in on as far as the buyer, and then you negotiate with him and say, well, how you want to handle this? Well, he may say, I'll handle it. We're just going to buy it. Or well, then you got some of them say, no, I want them out before we close on it. We close on it the day after they move out. So now you have to coordinate them getting out of there. So in this situation, what I've had to do before, I had to actually pay to have them, pay for their moving expense because they ain't having the money to do that. So to move out or whatever, which is, it can be a little uncomfortable or whatever. As a matter of fact, it was very uncomfortable in the situation I was dealing with, but I had just under 10 grand payday coming my way, so it wasn't that uncomfortable. So anyway, made it happen. But again, it starts with being able to communicate with them, letting them know you're gonna have to move out. You might as well get paid to move out. That's the way you want to, present it to them, and we'll help you move out. But you're only gonna get that money when you actually move out. We get the keys or whatever. So, and then now but with a squatter in there, that can also be an advantage to you as far as negotiations with the seller. So now we got to handle this problem that you didn't handle. You know what I'm saying? So that may even give you a few more grand in the deal that you can pick up just because you got to deal with that issue or whatever. So.
All right. Hey, Eric, I see you saying that you have to go. You won't stay long, but just wanted to tell you hello. He is our movie quote guru man. KP Bangs from Instagram wants to know, should I find a CPA when starting, or is there a rule of thumb with my profits that I should follow? I know when we talk, people ask about taxes and stuff like that. We say, hey, you got to ask your CPA that. But I guess just a general vague answer. Is that even a concern we need to worry about getting a CPA before we even have a check?
Exactly.
I'm serious.
I mean, you can really talk to your tax preparer. I mean, and they understand taxes just as much as a CPA versus CPA charging you for their time. I mean, like you said, it's stack. Just get your money and let your tax preparer know how much money you made, and if you're making a lot of it, let them know that, hey, you need to file your taxes quarterly to make sure that you're paying your taxes. But definitely I will get with a tax preparer, and just as much as a CPA.
In the famous words of Marlo Stanfield from The Wire, that's one of them good problems.
Exactly.
you want income generated from this business that you do have to pay. So that means
But don't allow taxes to scare you. I mean, I know a lot of people, you got to pay taxes. Okay, but as a, corporate America, you pay taxes first. You pay Uncle Sam before you get your check. So as an entrepreneur, we get our check first, and then we decide what we pay Uncle Sam. So understand that it is a benefit that you have to pay your taxes, because now I can maneuver and move money around and lower my tax liability and pay Uncle Sam a lot less than I would if I was in corporate America. So it's a benefit.
Okay. Damon has a question on YouTube. He says, I purchased the Land Glide app, which we've talked about before. However, it doesn't have available the owner's contact info for my area. However, it does for surrounding smaller counties. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Damon, no. In previous videos, when we've talked about Land Glide, it's only as good as the records at your tax assessors. So it could vary greatly from county to county because your county isn't updating the information and making it available for services such as Land Glide to pull it via the web. And so it's nothing you're doing. It's really just the crapshoot thing, right?
Yeah. And somebody texted me about it earlier today. The way I use Land Glide, I use several tools. Let me just say that. Starting with that, and obviously DigiLate or whatever, and it's just a combination of things you use to try to just to make the business easier for you. None of them are going to do deals for you. Somebody tells you a software is going to do deals for you run. They're just tools, just like GPS. GPS is not going to drive your vehicle to a location. Now, we're probably going to get there in about 10 years, but as of now, in mass production, the car is not going to drive to your location. It is only a tool to show you how to get where you're going, but you still have to drive there. These are just tools. Renika is a tool. I'm a tool. We can only provide the information. Age is a tool, and we can only provide the information to get you where you're going, but you still got to put the work in. So with that being said, well, I'm on that tangent. Land glide, I just used it just to identify the address and who the owner is. Now, like in Tuscaloosa County, which is where Adria is from, people know where you live at, guys.
Really?
And when we use it, it'll identify the address, but it won't pull up the owner name. That's what it'll do.
Yeah.
No, some of them it told the owner.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, but the main thing, I just like it. It helps me identify where I am when I'm out looking at property. Because sometimes it's difficult to determine, what property you're actually looking at. So.
Hiram Hilliard, hey, he says, hey, Flipman, you give great info. Got my first deal done, and he made $19,000. He's working on other deals. Hey, Hiram.
Gator. Yes, getting Gator. This is
got Gator. Got a check too.
Wow.
Gator, get a check.
Feed about 9 of that to us.
Right in there.
1,000, not 100,000.
Feed the Gator.
I give her 1,000. Give her 1,000. And you know where the rest going.
Okay, whatever. I'm cool with that.
We'll count it out right here on the show.
Hey.
All right, Nicole says she's tuning in and she loves you. You're just a little long-winded when you go boxes and you just go. But that's what we're here for. We're here for you and Renikia's information. Okay, so Tawana Jack, this is from Instagram, is in Birmingham. She has a seller that is asking for $165,000 in an area where the properties are selling for no more than $115,000. What's the best way to talk them down? I just met with them today. Okay. You don't have a deal.
You don't have a deal.
Talk down, but you didn't tell me. You're already above retail, right? So then you got to get down below that. Then you have to leave room for you and the buyer to make money, which means you got to come way down. It doesn't really seem like you have a deal. And sometimes, guys, you don't have a deal. I'm not saying you shouldn't have met with them before you even got to that point. Those numbers should have been discussed over the phone. You shouldn't even waste your time, Tawana. But you didn't come here for my answer. What's the answer, Renikia? What you think?
No, that's exactly what I was saying. It's not a deal. I mean, the ARV is $115,000. They're asking $165,000. Your fee is not there. The rehab amount is not allocated for. It's just not a deal. And I would just lowball them and let it go. Hey, I'll give you $60,000. I lowball them and let it go. I mean, because I most likely I'm not going to come down $100,000, but send them a deal that makes sense. And if they don't want it, just keep it.
Okay, so Tawana, hey, that's the best advice we got. Sell them something ridiculous. Ty says all the time, if you're not embarrassed to give them that offer, it's not low enough. Call them back, say, hey, you want 165? Give you 60. Hit the button, don't hit the button, close the box, or whatever the walk like a man say. Okay, so
you just want to steal my property. You people all staying yourselves. If you get that response, they just made it easy for you. We don't have a chance, and you know what of doing the deal. You know what I'm saying? So hey, next. I love the word next. N-E next.
Right.
There's a T on that,
I need it.
And sometimes you have to educate the seller. So don't be afraid to say, hey, do you know your properties in your neighborhood is going for a high of $115,000. So I mean, I don't think you will ever get $165,000. Like sometimes you got to educate them because they out there comparing their property to orange and they have apples. So it's like they out there thinking their property worth something, but not knowing I got to put $150,000 into it to even get it there. So don't be afraid to do a little educate them on their own market if need be.
Okay. Oh, the real Luke Mitchell says he just started using the Dealulator and it's great. I agree, Luke. It is great, guys. If you have not heard about Dealulator.com, it is a tool I calls it, that can assist you in your wholesaling deals. There is a monthly subscription fee, but if you're serious about wholesaling, it's worth it. There's a 5-day trial period. I suggest you taking advantage of that 5-day free trial period. You can use use it and see how it works for you and see if you want to make that investment. On Facebook, Zeph says, hey, my name is Zeph and I have Johnson. Okay. My question is, how can I buy a house under contract and sell it for profit? Also, how can I get connected with more investors in the Memphis, Tennessee area? Zeph, first, I would suggest you join our Wholesaling Real Estate with the Flipman Facebook group. We have like over 18,000 members. Surely you can reach out someone in Memphis in your area. Now, as far as getting a house under contract and selling it for profit.
You're starting at the basics of what we're talking about.
You gotta go back and look at how many videos.
Yeah, you can dive into my YouTube channel. Yeah, my man, you can dive.
Pull up video 1.
yeah, you start let me give you some good videos to start with. I'll give you the titles. Just put in 5 mistakes and then the Flip Man. That'll pull up the 5 mistakes newbies should avoid when starting out wholesaling. So 5 mistakes, put Flip Man behind it. Pull up top 3 ways to calculate ARV and put Flip Man behind it. And wholesaling houses step by step, put up and put Flip Man behind it. And then the 4th one, building a cash buyers list, deal you later, and Flip Man, and pull up that one. So, and that'll get you going in the right direction. But it's over 250. And we're not laughing at you, but we just know with that question that you're starting out. You say, how can I buy a house and flip it? Okay, that's a very vague question. So as far as you connecting with investors in Memphis, what you can do is number one, go to your local REIA group. Memphis is strong. I'm sure they have multiple REIA groups there that are pretty strong. There's some serious wholesalers in Memphis, Tennessee. So, and then again, like Aja said in the Facebook group, Flipping Real Estate with the Flip Man, there are going to be individuals in there in Memphis that you can connect with also. So those are my suggestions to you.
All right, there you have
it. A little long-winded, as my girl said, but hopefully I answered it.
Oh, no. He's watching driving. Okay, let's clear it up. He says, I want to buy a house that is already under contract.
Oh, okay. He wants. So he's a buyer. So I guess the question is, we are assuming that you have cash. If so, well, we got to put it out there. What are your goals? Are you trying to stay under $50,000 all in with purchase rehab? Are you trying to stay under $100K purchase rehab? So you have to give us an idea. But I'm sure people will be all over you in this group. Especially in Memphis. Some wholesalers in there. I'll be glad to feed you some of what they may have. But it just depends on what area of town you're trying to deal in. Or I'm assuming you're trying to buy and fix and flip, buy, fix and hold. Again, what's your budget as for, and then how many deals are you trying to do? So all that'll factor in.
All right.
Just make sure you have a team. I'm not for sure if you're starting out, or it sounds like you may not, I'm not for sure, but just make sure you have your team, your contractors in place, your investment team in place. And my number one thing is just networking in your backyard and understanding the numbers in your backyard, understanding the value, try to figure out what area that you want to invest into. But definitely connect with your local REIA group. That's going to be probably your number one hub.
Okay. Good answers there, Zeph. I'm sorry I misread your question. But you got good answers all the way around. And for those of you, Crystal did post those video titles in the chat on the Facebook groups if you needed to go back to those.
And just real quick, she and I was texting here, Crystal. I will what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I will shout out her. The guy had the question about taxes earlier, so you may want to DM her. DM her or PM her, either. And she could probably lead you in the right direction on there to give you some advice on what you should look for if you're trying to look for someone locally. If you may not want to deal with her because she may not be in your market. So that's my suggestion on that. So look for Krista. She's one of the admins in the wholesale, flipping, wholesaling real estate with the flip man. She's one of the admins in the group, so you can hit her up.
Yeah, guys, and that was the question that was in regards to the CPA. Hit Crystal up. She does a wonderful job of keeping that in order and answering questions. Actually, she does good at motivating. She puts like a daily motivation thing in there, like what you doing today? Like get up and what moves you making? I'm like, dang, I ain't doing nothing, but I'm gonna do something. So Crystal. Okay, so back to the group. Looking for hold on. We actually have quite a few questions, and I was looking for Patrice's question. Patrice has a question. She says, is there any point in trying to wholesale multi-unit properties that need over $50,000 in repairs that only have an ARV of 110 and 30 in taxes? There are plenty of them in Hartford and Waterbury, Connecticut. Is there a way to work these deals? So you got a multi-family property that needs about 50,000 in repairs, 30,000 in taxes, so that's 80, but they're only worth 110. But when you're dealing with multi-family, you can't look at it the same way, right?
Right. I mean, you can, but you can't. You probably have to. It's all about your exit strategy. So it's about your end buyer's exit strategy. Are they going to try to flip it? Or are they looking to do a buy and hold? Because I don't know how many units you have. You know, it's just not enough information to evaluate the deal. But when it comes to multifamily unit, a lot of buyers are holders. So, and the return on holding a property under $100,000 as a multifamily unit can have a high return. So it still can make sense. But I would just need more information to evaluate the deal that you're talking about.
Okay, so just a little bit more information there, Patrice. And there was someone on YouTube, I lost her comment, that she said, oh, it's Bridget Hereford. She says, I love Deal You Later so much. I've been advertising it in all my real estate groups. Thank you, Bridget. Way to go. If you're using it, make sure you and even here in the chat, we talk about it, but it's always great to have users that don't just take Ty or my word. That is a great tool to use that you're saying you're using and it's helping you out as well. What? You got something to say? Okay. Abdul actually did ask how about a few more videos on how to use it to find deals. You got any videos?
Yeah, I'm gonna do something.
Okay, Abdul, we're gonna work on that. Paul Stevenson is brand new, and he says he has no sales, but he found a seller who has 2 homes with Section 8 rentals. Seller has moved out of state and wants to sell ASAP. $80,000 for both homes. Need buyers. Where do I go? He's in Detroit. Shaq, what's up? Shaq is on the west side of Detroit. Just off the top, 2 homes for $80,000 sounds good. It sounds good, but you gotta have
Section 8. They said that on Section 8.
Yeah.
It's a turnkey.
What's the income? He said.
No, that's what I was going to say. We need a little bit more information, Paul. Gotta have, need to know what you say. Is the turnkey is ready to go? Was the income being generated on them? Is there tenants in it already? Repairs, ARV, all that still matters. So yeah, $80,000 for both in Detroit, but still need a little bit more information there, Paul.
And although he want 80, doesn't mean you have to give it to him. Always negotiate the price, because the seller always have room. Then most likely they would never put out their bottom line first. So always be willing to negotiate for no reason. You may want the property, but I would still negotiate it down a little bit if need be.
Wesley, what you talking about? Oh, $700 per month is what he said.
Per
unit per month.
That's a deal.
Yeah, sounds like you got a deal, Paul. But he said
it sounds like a more of a buy and hold. So you want to go after your investors who want buying whole properties. Sounds like a buying whole.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of overtalked there, Paul, but you target investors who won't buy whole properties is Renika's suggestion there. And if you need a partner, again, you're in the right place. Put it out there. Hey, need somebody in Detroit. Whoa, wait a minute. You keep adding stuff, Paul. I can't keep up with you. Put out in one comment. Let's see here. Buyer will take $20,000 each.
Okay. Well, I thought he said 40. Or did he mean 40?
The buyer asked for 80, but when Renika said that he needed to negotiate, the buyer will sell. Okay, so 80 is the ARV.
Oh.
For both.
We'll
take 20.
That was a smoking deal.
Take 20, $700 per month. You got yourself a deal, Paul.
That's an amazing deal.
Part of Detroit. What's the neighborhood? What's the neighborhood of the area is called? Not that I know, but I'm being asked a question here on my phone. So.
What's the neighborhood, Paul? That the homes are located. You got everybody's interest peaked, and we actually have quite a few people that are wholesaling in Detroit. So just need to know where they are. I do love you, Wesley. Stop saying that out there. I don't even know who that is, but hey, he might know. Okay, so I'll come back to you, Paul. Going back to our questions, let's see here on YouTube. Are the chancellor's office is one of the best places to get numerous vacant, boarded up apartments or houses?
It's probably so. He called it a chancellor's office. That's probably a term that's used in their county that is something else that we call it something else. You got to define what that office does for us to know what you're referring to.
Okay, he says it's in Southfield, 7 Mile area. And that was Paul in regards to. So hey guys, Paul is on the Wholesaling Real Estate with the Facebook group, Wholesaling Real Estate. So you might want to reach out to him if you maybe can partner up. That might be a JV opportunity for some people. Let's go here back to Instagram, and Instagram has been quite busy today. You know, normally it's not that many questions there, but quite a few today. I can't even keep up. Actually, I can't even. Yep, can't pull it up. Okay, turning my head sideways. Let's see here. How do I handle a seller that is using a realtor? Is the process the same? Should I go ahead and make my lowest offer?
Yeah. The process is the same. However, when you're dealing with a realtor, you're going to probably use the GAR form or something of that nature, but the process is the same regardless if you're dealing with a realtor or not. I would probably prefer or recommend a double closing instead of doing an assignment. A lot of GAR forms don't have the assignment clause in it. So if you're using the GAR form, you want to read through it to see if it's allowing you to assign that contract to your end buyer. If not, then you may want to recommend that you use your off-market contract. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Paul, last time, Crystal, our admin, is actually in the D as well. Shaq Smith is in the D. It's probably about 15 people that's responded already that says they're in the D and they can help you find a buyer. So maybe, again, put it out there. You can find someone that can help you out. Gonna round it out, guys, and ask a few more questions. School has started, so mama has to get to the babies and make sure, they get their homework done and in the bed. So I will allow Miss Renika. I see a couple of you asking about.
Last question, boom. Go ahead.
I got this. Anyway, I see a few more questions about transactional funding. Someone wanted to know, let me just tie them all together for you, Renika. She said she has the score of 680, but she wants to know, how does her income come into play on that? When using transactional funding, do you have to already have a buyer in place? Was the second question. And of course, how do I get in contact with Ms. Renika? So I guess, can you cover those for me before we close?
Yes, that's actually a really great question. When using transactional fund, it's not about your income, it's about you already having your deal in place. So they're gonna they're going to approve you based on the contracts that you have. So you would never get approved with transactional funding without already having your deal put together. So they're going to approve you based on the fact that you can show them that you are buying the property and selling the property, and you need you need the transaction money in between. So you're approved based on you already having your full deal together. To answer your question, how to get in contact with me, you can go to fundmynextdeal.com. That'll give you access to my website. I'm also on all social media and Instagram up to the K in my name. And you can email me at funding@fkfinancials.com.
All right, guys, there you have it. fkfinancials.com. So that's how you can get in touch with Ms. Renikia. As always, glad that you're here with us. Bridget, I did answer your question, and Jenny Wu and LL, I do see you. Love you both as well. Let's see here. Ziggy has a good question. I have tattoos and dreadlocks. Will that hinder me in the wholesaling world? No.
One of my good friends here in Atlanta called himself the tattoo investor. So no, it's all about how you carry yourself. You know, it's all about how you carry yourself. It's all about how professional you are with handling the transaction.
Okay, so no, your looks now, I wouldn't suggest showing up looking your worst and you're trying to convince the seller to sell you their home.
Right.
But your dreads and tattoos shouldn't have anything to do with it. It's all how you present yourself. It's how what you're saying is what matters, because they'll take the focus off and start listening. You have to sound like you know what you're talking about. I don't care what you look like. If you sound like you got the money that I'm asking for, right. Bad question where you got it from, but that still ain't none of my business either. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Well, guys, we've been on for an hour. We kind of started on time. I'm going to select one question. I said don't tell y'all that, but I'll say it anyway. Pick one good question to ask, and we will end it for the evening. Let's see here. Boom. Okay. Question about ARVs. I've been taking the number that is in the middle of the road, and I've been using it as my ARV. Am I giving myself a proper ARV? How do we properly calculate a comp for a property?
Okay. I mean, it's multiple ways. You can calculate comps. You could partner with the realtor and ask them to send you comps from the MLS listings. You can use websites like Zillow, and Zillow has a Zestimate, and a lot of people don't like to use Zillow. I don't take Zillow at 100% face value, but what I do know what happens with Zillow is that Zillow is synced with MLS listings. So that's why you will see for sale and they are listed on MLS, because a lot of MLS are linked and synced with Zillow. So there's algorithms in the back of Zillow that you can change, and filters you can change to help you kind of zestimate the ARV or the after repair value of the property. But I would say you're probably going to get your best comps from individuals like realtors. But I know, Ty, you have a system that helped them pull it, or no?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what she says, there's so many sites out there now, and normally what I just call this the poor man's way, because sometimes people are not comfortable speaking with realtors. They get be a little intimidated with them or whatever. They may call one realtor and they may get discouraged or whatever. First, let's understand this about an ARV, or a potential value of a property. And basically what you're saying is that the property will appraise. What will it appraise for in excellent condition? That's what you're looking for. Now, there's no one number. You can send 3 appraisers out to a house and they're going to come back with 3 numbers. They're 3 different numbers, but they should be close to each other, right? And so what the simple way you can do it is just, dealey offers a value, but I wouldn't even just go by that But what it does also do, though, it gives you an opportunity to dig into the comps, the comparable sales of the property. And then the way I look at it, you're trying to look for the highest numbers that are consistent with each other. To give you an example, you may see, I'm gonna give you 5 numbers. You may see 200,000, you may see 152, you may see 149, and then 146. And then the last number so the last number you may see is 80. So the ones that are consistent with each other is the 146, 147, and 152. You throw out the 200, you throw out the 80 or whatever. So that's going to probably be, I'm going to pull a number from there somewhere in that 140, whatever, to 150, low 150s or whatever. That's just one way of doing it. You can look at multiple sites like Zillow, which Trulia and Zillow are the same, pretty much the same or whatever. And we don't have to come back. Zillow and Trulia are the same, but you got HomeSnap, which Renika always talks about. They give value. You got homes.com, you got realtor.com, and that's owned by the National Board of Realtors. And then what else you got? You got ePraisal. So what I'll do is I'll combine all those sites and use that same technique that I just gave you by looking at all those sites to come up with a general number. You just need a general number. Say, hey, I can else this number to try to figure out if I have an opportunity here or not. So that's our last question. What y'all got? What else y'all got, ladies?
No, I just want to tell everybody thank you for joining us. As always, join us next Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 Eastern. Visit dealyoulater.com. Join the Facebook group.
And I got a starters package that I'm working on. That's going to be I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but it's gonna be a no excuse package that will allow. Well, I don't know what I'm calling it yet. I don't know yet. So, but it's coming. It might be ready next week. I'm working out the logistics on it or whatever. So within the next week or 2 weeks. So
wheels always turn. Always trying to think of ways to help you guys out there and get you motivated to get started in this wholesaling. He's coming up with products. Really no excuse, as you said. No excuse. I tell you guys, we're going to end today with any action is better than no action. If you don't have banner signs, I saw a lot of questions about cold calling. Do it. If you don't have signs, if you're not writing letters, do something. Call, drive for dollars. Decide yesterday that you were going to do something today and do it today, like now.
One more thing. Reach out to me if because I don't know where some of you all work, and if you work at a place that supplies products to Walmart, Dollar Tree, Target, where else? Any large outfit like that, any national brand or whatever. If you work in a company like that, please, supplies to retailers. They're supplies to retailers. So they will actually be the wholesaler. Mm-hmm. Please reach out to me immediately. In the famous words of the late great Bernie Mac.
Okay, the one-page contract is available to you all. Visit flipman.net if you don't have it. Text contract to 313131. Join us next week. As always, thank you, Renika, for joining us.
Thank you all.
Now the credit is their gateway to wealth, and they ain't trying to have no money. They ain't trying to be like Beyonce grandchildren.
All right, on the floor.
That's right. Okay, guys, we will see you on the flip side.